Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of the Grandstand here on the Hot Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm as always the other Hot Patriot, and for today's episode, we are going to talk about the 60 days I have left on my lease here at the current apartment complex, and most likely exactly why I will not be re-upping after it ends. Why I may end up going month to month for like a month or so, give or take, unless I can find something by the end of March to move into, as it'll be then. Or really, if I know there's going to be a giant snowstorm around that time, like I might just do another month, as it'll be then, and just do it as a month-to-month situation, whatever the case be. But I want to tell you guys what happened here today. Well, really this past weekend is what it was that caused me to just get really pissed at the landlord, and then him basically having a gripe with me is what it is then. And yeah, it's just a whole situation all the way around. So basically, it was, I believe, Thursday night, which this is before I had a working plunger, because I thought I bought one a while ago. When I moved in here, I just didn't think about it, honestly, because it seemed like the toilet was working fine. And my mind just, I guess, didn't even think to get one. That's what it was then. So I ended up going, and it wasn't an issue at that point, obviously, because, the toilet was flushing fine is what it was. So I didn't even think I really needed one, honestly, but I guess I did. So yeah, so basically like Thursday night, Friday morning, somewhere in there, like either right before midnight or after midnight is what it was. I ended up going to the bathroom, flushing some TP down. It obviously clogged up the toilet somehow. And then I think the fact of the matter is the toilet really wasn't working properly before that's what it was, because I noticed, and I should have probably contacted the landlord about this a couple weeks ago as it was, because it's probably like a month or so ago. I noticed, I don't know if it was like the flapper piece or what it was that was in there, but like there was a couple times where I would like flush the handle, and then all of a sudden I would hear like gurgling, and I was like, what the hell is that? And then I realized it sounded like the seal was not like properly sealing back in place, essentially. And so I didn't really think about it too much. I was like, I'll just deal with it or whatever the case be, because this guy's been kind of useless anyways. The landlord, what it was, with maintenance issues and stuff like that. Because I think what happened was he doesn't have a proper maintenance guy on staff, is what it is. And he used to have a helper guy who, I don't know if he fired this guy or this guy just quit because he was sick and tired of his shit or what it was. But either way, like I think that guy's gone now. And now he has a different helper, and that guy was the one that came over to do the maintenance stuff today that was in the toilet to try to unclog it for me. As it was, just thank God he was able to get it finally. But yeah, basically, it became a situation where I was thinking about calling emergency plumber today, actually, because it was such an issue, and I wasn't able to get a hold of this dude as it was. And then finally got back to me, and I told him straight up, I was like, like, this is the issue, dude. Like, what the hell? So basically, what happened was I ended up, it was Thursday night, Friday morning, when the initial clog came. And I think it just got more clogged over time, because I obviously still have to use the toilet as what was there time to time. And so basically, because I didn't have a plunger in that time period, it just got a little bit more clogged than it needed to be, basically, and it wouldn't drain out properly. And then when I finally did get a plunger yesterday, my cousin finally got me one then and brought it over. And then it was basically from there, I was trying to plunge it through. It was not going anywhere. Like, I probably should have just left it, honestly, at that point, because I think what I ended up doing was my plunging created, like, a worse clog, potentially, or even, like, if the stuff was, like, stuck, like, right in the trap there or whatever, it, like, shot further back as what it was, like, quite a bit further back, actually, from my understanding. Because when the maintenance guy, helper dude, whatever this landlord guy calls him at this point, came out to do the stuff today, he had a small snake that was maybe like a foot long or so, give or take. And that was not long enough to get the clog. And he literally had to leave. Ended up spending about 45 minutes or so gone, and then came back with a much longer snake that was like several feet is what it was. And he was finally able to get with that snake is what it was then, and a couple other methods. So, and then it was right after that I had gone in the bathroom to like check it out, and I had to clean up some stuff that was left because the dude made like some mess around the toilet, getting it all unclogged. There's what it was. So I basically had to clean all that. Was what it was then, which is fine. I have no problem doing that. It's just um, but yeah, apparently my landlord sent me a text then saying, "Oh, by the way, it's fully functioning now. Any future clog ups are now your responsibility." And I'm like, thinking to myself, like, wait, what? But at the time, I was on like autopilot, and I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, like it's fucked up because I looked at my actual lease agreement that I signed last year, and there is absolutely nothing in there about it being a tenant's responsibility to, fix like clog ups and stuff like that, because that should be a maintenance issue from the landlord and the people in the ownership of this place as then. Like the only thing that was in there after the fact would have been like a line that like, hey, just to make sure like it's not clogged when you leave it, basically. So I don't know if that would maybe be considered the thing or whatever the case be is, but yeah, it's like it's ridiculous though to be like. And what's even more ridiculous to me is when I said something about like when I texted him last night. This was after I did the Slicey Boy Saturday episode, because this is like 5:30 last night that we were texting back and forth. And I specifically told him, I was like, yeah, dude, it's clogged up. It ain't plunging through. I can't get it done. Like, I need maintenance out here, preferably with a snake, because I think it's going to be a snake situation is what it is. And his response to me was sending me a fucking YouTube video of how to do a power flush using water. Like, really, guy? Like, really? So, and then I also figured out that apparently, with the number of units in here right now, which I think there is, I want to say there's 32 overall, and I want to say it's around 30 of them are being rented right now. And I was actually figuring out like all the money that was coming in from the tenants that live here is what it is, and how much we're all paying per month is what it is. I think we're all paying pretty much the same amount per month is what it is, except for obviously the 2 bedrooms that are paying like 100 more a month is what it is then. And from literally everything that I have figured out, this dude before taxes is taking over $260,000 a year from this place that other people are running right now. Now, granted, that being said, obviously when you're paying out like half the money in taxation, you're probably making like still making like 100K a year is what it is then, or more probably would be my guess. And I know looking back to when this place was originally bought, back in I think it was like the 80s or 90s, it only went for like, or no, I'm sorry, I think it changed hands again in like the mid 2000s, give or take. So that's probably when him and his family bought, is my guess, honestly. But yeah, when it was bought here, it was only like 100K or something like that's what it was. So he basically paid it off in like a single year is what it would be then. And or maybe 2 years or something like that max would be my guess. Like 3, if you're wanting to stretch it out, obviously like 30K a year or something maybe, or 35K a year maybe. But yeah, it's like it was bought and paid for like a long time ago, basically, like by at least like 15 years ago, be my guess, or more. And what's really messed up about the whole thing is that I was thinking about it after the fact, and the fact that this guy uses Cash App and wants you to use Cash App to give him the rent money every month, it makes me wonder how much of the money he's taking in from here is actually being put on taxes, like is actually being reported to the federal government as taxation. Because I'd be willing to bet there's about half of it that's basically going straight into his pocket as tax-free money is what it is then. So potentially he could easily be, catching charges at some point if somebody were to investigate his ass for being that scumlord or whatever the case be like that. So, because yeah, I get it might be my fault that it was like, maybe a little bit too much TP in the thing, or maybe I inadvertently, flushed something else and completely forgot about it until after the fact, which I don't think I did. If I did, it would have been maybe I inadvertently flushed like a wet wipe or something like that is what it was. But really, if that did happen, that shouldn't have caused that clog up, honestly. So, because for all I know, it was like, it could have been people that were living here before me, which now live over on the other, on the other side there is what it is. I think it's 2 bedroom over there now is what it is. for all I know, the wife or the daughter were flushing tampons down the fucking toilet, honestly. So, like, I told my sister, I was like, yeah, you would think, like, as a landlord, like, you would maybe, like, snake every toilet, like, just on principle, like, in between tenants. She's like, yeah, they're not going to do that. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. But then again, like, how are you going to blame the most recent tenant for a clog that could have been caused, like, 2 tenants ago and just been, like, backing up for this entire time period is what it was? Because that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it was completely me that caused the clog up. I think it was, like, just years and years of fucking, you know, shit going through the sewer system there is what it was. That maybe caused a clog someplace, and that's what it was then. So, who knows, man. But I would say when you're having, like, I don't know how long the people before me lived here, but I know they were a family of 4, though, and when you got 4 people using the toilet, like, it's a lot more than, you know, whatever. So, well, he did this time, but then he's, like, trying to tell me, like, oh, yeah, as of any time in the future, it's all you now, or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't say that in the list, bro. So, I don't know. It's just another reason why I'm trying to find a new place right now is what it is, and hopefully it'll be roughly around the same price as this place. Maybe a little bit more, but then we could maybe include utilities if that'd be the case then, because I know with what I'm paying out right now in utilities plus rent, it's almost my entire disability check. Like I maybe have like $100 left after that if that'd be the case then, if even that much anymore, because depending on the heat and stuff now, because that's the one thing I noticed with the city heat right now is what it is, or not the city heat, the what is it, AEP Ohio, I think is what it is the electric company. And I noticed when I was looking at my bills for the past like 3 or 4 months now is what it is, they have been significantly increasing like a few cents at a time basically throughout this entire like last 4 to 5 months or so is what it is. And when you start out, when it was like only a few cents per kilowatt hour, now it's like 3 or 4 times that, to where it's like almost a dime or so, maybe more than that now per kilowatt hour. Like, yeah, it's definitely going to increase your electric bills, what it is then. And the reason I say that obviously is because between the last billing cycle, that would have been, I believe, December to January, or no. Yeah, no, wait, would that have been November, December, maybe? I can't remember if it was November, December to January. Because I know the current one would be, I think, January through February, because it goes like half months or whatever there. But yeah, the last one here, for when it was like very hard winter and we had like all those like negative temps and stuff like that, it was over $100 for the first time. And before that, it was like, I think the maximum was like 50 or something. And that was even like kind of high then, I thought. So, and the thing is, like you guys can see, I'm wearing a freaking my long sleeve and like a wrap over my body because it's not that warm in here at all, dude. I got the real problem with this place is instead of having a single thermostat, like instead of having one, because it was built in like the 70s or 80s or whatever, you have where I'm sitting here, there's a thermostat for this area. Over on that wall, it's set about 60 right now is what it is. There's a thermostat for the rest of the main living room area here that I have set at 70 to keep it a little bit warmer coming this direction is what it is there. And then there's one in my bedroom that is set, I believe, about 55 right now is what it is. And then there's one in the bathroom that's not even on all right now. So, because I don't really need that one, because I'm usually wearing socks in there anyway, so it doesn't really matter if the tile is freezing or not. But the entire point of the matter is, like, it's kind of stupid to have, like, 4 different thermostats. And I guarantee that these thermostats are not, like, the greatest, and I guarantee you're losing electric efficiency because of that stuff, what it is there or something. Because I noticed recently, especially this one over here, like when it's definitely getting colder, like you can tell, like when it started to try to catch the temp, it's like making like almost like a grinding sound where it's like kind of thing like that, where it's trying to heat up or whatever then. So yeah, it's going to be irritating like that. And then obviously the windows in this place ain't great. But yeah, I know, like, if I had more time, I think I could probably got a better place last year, honestly. Because there were several ones that I was looking at that got to me after the fact, after moving to this place. but then they wouldn't have been available till like May is what it was, and I had to be in here or any place really on April Fool's Day is what it was last year. So, and then like the thing right now is like obviously it's very quiet right now is what it is, but like and like it's funny to me that like in the description of this place he was like, oh yeah, it's super quiet, all this other stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it's super quiet until you have like 100 fucking trains running in a 2-day time span, bro. Because you're literally like right by train tracks, which they do not mention in the listing on Zillow at all, or any listing for this place at all that I found. So, yeah. And it's like when you're not used to having, crazy train noise at all hours, like it's very hard to sleep. Like I know I'm like for the past, 300 something days now, I've been mentally stressed as a motherfucker just because of sleep deprivation is what it is there. Like I've been so sleep deprived. I've been so, what you call it and everything else like that, dude. Like, thank God this motherfucker back here is gone right now, but I know they're fixing up a place to rent it out again and somebody else knows what it'll be. So it's been honestly the best 30-something days that I've been here right now was not having a neighbor back here as what it was then. Because that last piece of shit motherfucker obviously refused to observe quiet hours, and I wonder if maybe that's why the landlord got so pissed at me because I kept contacting him about that dude, and he's like, well, I'm trying to deal with it. And it's like, well, if you would have dealt with it in fucking May or June, when I literally told you he was stealing my electricity, motherfucker, which was a violable offense of the lease itself, I just evicted his ass on the spot right then and there. Like, it wouldn't have been a fucking problem anymore. But instead, he let this cocksucker stay for like another 6 months, is what it was, until he finally did evict him, and the only reason he evicted him after that was because he was literally stealing not only my package, but other people's packages that were delivered to his place by mistake, as it was, because the Amazon people that were delivering them did not bother checking the actual fucking address. And just threw him on some random doorstep instead of throwing him on the doorstep across or throwing him on the doorstep like two housing units down or whatever it was then, where the actual addressee was. So, and then obviously as the last insult to injury, that motherfucker came knocking on my door. I think it was the last 30 days he was here. And then I found out a couple days later he stole my fucking light bulb under my damn outside light is what it was. And I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. So, but yeah, like it was, I'm by the way, I'm writing a book series about that. Or not a book series, but I'm writing a book at some point in the future about my time here is what it is. And specifically with that fucking douchebag. It'll be titled something like 273 Days of Hell, which is the exact time I was living here with his fucking ass being here. So, but yeah. So it's definitely a real shit show is what it is. And then what's even crazier is, so it was like the other day, like going back even further than the whole toilet clog up issue then is what it was. It was probably this past Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or was it one? Yeah, it would have been Tuesday and Wednesday. So it was Tuesday. I was just chilling. And I think I was watching NXT highlights that night or whatever then. And this is, mind you, this is like 10:30, almost 10:45 at night. All of a sudden I hear like this random noise outside and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I hear it like come past my window and I'm like, what in the fuck is that? And like it sounded like somebody had like a lawnmower or something going on. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I look outside and sure enough, there's like some random dude like going around the complex with a fucking snowblower to snowblow out the sidewalks is what it was. And then I asked the helper maintenance guy that came here to finally clean my toilet is what it was then. I asked him, I was like, was that you the other day? And he's like, no, I'm pretty sure that was the mowing company that also does snow removal. So my understanding is, I guess if it gets deep enough, like it did end up being a removal thing, whatever then. Yeah, okay, that's just some random stuff popping on my phone then. Thought maybe somebody was texting me. But yeah, my understanding was the snow removal stuff. It was basically if it gets deep enough, I think you basically call somebody out and they'll actually do like the sidewalks. We can actually have like a thing for like ADA compliance and shit like that, which is really not compliant at all, dude, because if it was really complying, you would be having them take like a shovel or something and then just like shooting the shit right off the brick slab, porch stoop, whatever you want to call it there. So, but anyway, I did not, and that's the thing. Had I known it before that, I wouldn't even moved in here at all. But the thing was like, so basically what happened was, for those who don't know, it was last year. My mom's old place got sold because it had to be because of her obviously untimely death from taking the COVID shots in 2021. She ended up dying 2 years ago, and about a week and a half ago would be the second anniversary of her death then, because she died January 18th of 2024. And then, which I honestly, I do believe that there was some angel of death at the place that she was at that actually killed her, because she was doing fine. She had got, like, the problem was that she had major heart surgery, and then ended up being a Widowmaker type of heart attack that she basically had, that, you know, they were able to basically save her on the table. So it was, because my understanding was she actually died on the table for a couple minutes. There's what it was. And then they brought her back, and then she was alive, obviously, for like several weeks after that's what it was then, because it was November of 2023, specifically Black Friday 2023 is when she had like her heart issues that she had to go get in the hospital for, is what it was then. And then they found out she was like, you know, in danger of that stuff, which I guarantee was from COVID shots. And then she ended up going under for surgery. I believe it was either within a day of that or so, or it was like the 1st of December, somewhere in there. And then she was fine for a little bit, and then it was basically because she couldn't have salt in her system because of having the new heart transplant and stuff like that. What it was there. And the valves and stuff, because I think it was one of her valves had to be replaced, or maybe two of them had to, I forget exactly, it's in the heart there's what it is, but I know at least one had to be replaced for sure, because it was completely clogged up, so it was there. As were the other two, I believe. And so she might have had to get like two replacements or something like that, what it was. And then because of that, she couldn't have salt for like a long time, is what it was. And so she was doing bad at this random facility we didn't really want her at. That was the only thing our insurance would cover, basically. And then from there, I ended up seeing her on my birthday, which was January 10th of 2023. And then, or sorry, not 2000, it was 2024 then. So it was my 39th birthday, and I saw her on then. And that was the last day I saw her alive, because she ended up having to be taken from that facility up to Altman Hospital. And then it was within a couple of days of that, when she was with Altman, like, she was improving like a lot. Like, they got her stabilized, and we talked on the phone, and this was like the 12th or 13th of that month, and she was fine. Like, she was ready to come home, basically. Like, she felt like she was ready to come home, but like, obviously she still needed to heal up in the hospital, is what it was there. And then they sent her back to this shit ass facility, and then within like 4 or 5 days of that, she was dead. So, and yeah, then it basically became a whole crushing thing of depression for me for a while. And then, you know, after that, it was basically the house being sold out from under me, even though I wanted to keep the damn place, but we couldn't afford to, you know, pay off the bullshit ass Chase mortgage that she had still on it, which was absolute bullshit, because with the amount of interest that she paid on these fucking assholes, principal, they should have more than paid off the principal by like 2 or 3 times at that point. So, but yeah, it's just absolutely disgusting is what it is. And then obviously it was November of 2025. Then we had finally sold the place, and then I moved out of there. And I was supposed to move into another place that I was going to rent for a while, that our realtor guy had found, but unfortunately the guy that was selling it to him was dicking him around for a long time. And so it ended up being a situation where I had to move down with my sister for a few months there, which we thought was going to be like 2 months, but then it turned into, you know, basically until the end of March of this past year is what it was then. When he finally was like, oh yeah, I got the place, but it's not going to be, he basically was like, I got to keep a hold of it. I'm not going to be able to rent it to you, and it's going to be sold at some point, is what it is then. And so yeah, he basically fucked us over on that one without any kind of backup plan for me. But in the meantime, I'm sorry about that one. The initial plan after that fact was, this was before everything happened then. So it was based, because it was not until like May or June, I believe was it this year? Or no, not this year. Jeez, my mind is blanking out. May or June of 2025 is when this happened. But basically it was when I was looking at places to move up, I was looking at this place to move up to, honestly, and we'd have everything set up and stuff like that. And then he contacted me like the day before I was going to sign a lease with this guy, is what it was here that I live with now, is what it is. And he was like, oh, by the way, there's this place over in, I think it was close to Hartville or something like that, it was. And he's like, yeah, there's this place over here. It's, a second story apartment. Like, you can stay there for a couple months until I get this house, basically, because at that time it was basically all the escrow stuff and like, what do you call it now? I forget what that thing is now. It was a similar thing that we had happen with my mom with her place because of the will and stuff like that, where it had to be like done through probate court. That's what it was. It was like probate court or whatever then, and or something like that, something with a P. But it was basically all that shit was being done then. And then you had from there, it basically turned into me going over to that place. And you guys remember the streams have been at that place a couple times, where it was basically a shit show over there. Like, my God, dude, like the amount of traffic over at that place, like it just never fucking stopped, bro. And the problem is like, I don't care how much insulation you put in that place. I don't care how much soundproofing you put on those walls. Like, that place would have been no go at all. And the problem with that was, my understanding from what talking with the realtor guy about that was, is that place was basically turnkey and move into, which it was not. Like, it needed to be, he needed to have like a maintenance dude up in there fixing that shit like crazy, and then running after the fact. And then of course what happened was I was there, I believe I stayed there March 30th. No, it would have been March 29th. March 29th and March 30th is what it was of last year. And then it was at some point between that 40-hour time span that apparently it was figured out that the wall between what was basically the ceiling where the piping was for the upstairs unit there and the downstairs, like I think it was an antique shop or something that was on downstairs there. Apparently me just running the water a few times and not realizing that apparently the toilet itself had been fucked up. And that was another thing too, by the way, that toilet had clogged up over there at that place, which it was because it had the base of it. Like, the way the toilet was set up in that place was completely fucked anyway. I think I still have pictures of that thing, but yeah, it was basically, you would walk into the bathroom, there was a sink right here, then there was this weird like pedestal step up thing where the toilet was basically like hooked into, but it wasn't hooked in there well, because it had like a whole, like the base bottom was like the entire time I was there, and I didn't realize it until it was too late. And I think obviously like overflows what it was then. I think mixed between the overflow and like everything else basically was what the ceiling had been weakened from, like, just dripping over how many years, who knows at that point. But ended up caving the ceiling into the antique shop then on the bottom, and I didn't realize that because I ended up trying to fill a bottle of water then that morning, and I heard some woman screaming outside. She's like, dude, stop turning the water on, it's leaking through. And I'm like, wait, what? And then yeah, sure enough, I ended up going down there and talking with her, and she's like, yeah, basically, what you call it in the ceiling. And then I ended up calling my uncle then, and we were able to get a bunch, like, thankfully I didn't have enough stuff there. Like, I only had like a couple boxes of stuff there, what it was, and like a few like bags of personal shit, like clothes and my computer and stuff like that, what was there. And so what ended up happening was, then I ended up calling my uncle up, and I was like, hey, is there any chance you can come over here and like pick me up, whatever the case be? And I was able to talk to my mom's old friend and basically stay with her for a night. And in the meantime, I was able to get a hold of the guy that owns this place right now. And I was like, hey, dude, is that offered? Like, I'm sorry to be, kind of a dick or whatever, but like, I thought this other place was going to work out. It didn't. Is this, can I still, potentially rent this place, come the first is what it is there? And he's like, yeah. So that's basically how I ended up here is what it was then. And it was basically an emergency situation. So if I had known it was going to be the way it was, I probably would have tried to go month to month on this place for like 2 months or something. And then basically moved to a completely different place than it is then, come like June of last year. But unfortunately, I did not know that until after I moved in here about the trains and stuff like that. And the thing, my understanding is, if I can make a little, see if I can find a piece of paper to do a little diagram on here. So yeah, my understanding is the way that these trains are set up in this place, from talking to the guy that lives caddy corner. So he's not the guy that lives directly sharing a wall with me. It's the guy that lives next to him is what it is there. He grew up around here because I guess his parents live like right up the road there is what it is. And he just moved over here to have his own place as what it is or whatever. But yeah, my understanding is the way that these trains are set up. So if I am where the X is on this piece of paper here, the train tracks are here, here, and then over here. So it's basically 3 corners of 4 are filled with train tracks, which is not cool. And that was something I was not told about at all before I rented this place. I was also told, by the way, this place was like 750 square feet, according to the listing. It's not. It's maybe 650 max, if even that much. And I think it's closer to 600, honestly. Maybe even like 580 for the matter. And the reason I say that is because when I was looking up the actual, when this place sold back in the day, in the 2000s, what it was there, when they were talking about the units themselves, they said each one of these units is roughly, I believe it was 3,000 square feet. Or no, sorry, it was just under 3,000 square feet. It would have been like 28 or 2,900 or something like that was what was there. So when you break that down into 4s, that means it's like a fourth of that. So it'd be like 670-ish, maybe at most. I think maybe 650 or so, give or take. So yeah, it's an absolute lie is what it is. So, but yeah, so it's basically a lie of what the listing was. And then everything else like that too. So, but yeah, like it wouldn't be bad if the rent cost included utilities, because then it would just be whatever. But of course, like when it doesn't, and it's $725 plus utilities, what it is then, like, and you got $100 freaking electric bill, and then whatever the water would be then too. It gets up there pretty quick, man. So I think right now, I know as of last month, I'm paying between rent and utilities. I think I want to say my water was like $33, almost $34 for the month, and then my electric would have been over 100. Then is what it was. So I think it's about 101 give or take. So it's about 135 for that. Then plus 725, so it'd be about 860 give or take. So yeah, it's a lot, man. So for what this place is, and then the fact that you have like no privacy is what it is, because the walls have no insulation on them is what it is there. So it's a real pain in the dick, honestly. But that's why when I'm trying to sleep out here and I'm like, you got fucking jackass for 273 days or so, being a fucking ass in the middle of the night and hollering, carrying all his buddies. Or I know there was that one time, it was over the summer, when I heard him hollering and carrying, leaving the place. I want to say it was around 1:30 or 2 a.m. And then he literally came back even drunker with his idiot fucking friend, or his nephew, or whoever the kid was to him. And it was like almost 5 a.m. Like, honestly, the fact that I didn't just clap them both right there, honestly, like, proves that I wanted to be out of prison and not a felon for the rest of my life, or, considered double murder at that point, obviously. Because, truthfully, like, I feel like had I been a lower IQ person, or had just, like, basically a snap moment, like, I probably would have just killed both of them right down there is what it was. Because it was at that point, like, that dude had been fucking with me constantly, of me telling him to shut the fuck up and stuff like that for several months at that point. So, and the worst thing was when I should have probably known when I moved in, I should have been like, oh, fuck. Because literally the day I moved in on the 1st, I'm sitting in here, like my uncle and I came over here with like my basic stuff that was in the vehicle or whatever then. And we're just like setting up or whatever and like waiting for my cousin to bring over my mattress as it was done. And so I'm just sitting here on like a stool or something that I got from a Walmart. And all of a sudden I hear this loud ass motherfucker outside like hollering and carrying on. And sure enough, it was Dickhead Don. Like being an asshole in the fucking park. And mind you, the parking lot is not that far from the units, but it's a good like 15 feet that way is what it is. And the fact that his voice traveled that fucking far to where it was able to like come through my windows and I could hear his dumb ass, like I'm like, dude, what the fuck? So, and then yeah, he basically introduced himself to me. I just messed up to him is what it is. And then I thought we were cool at first, but it turned out he was just a complete fuckface is what it is. And like I said before, had he legitimately come to me and been like, hey dude, they shut my power off, is there a chance I could like, pop in your outside outlet to keep my fridge going or something like that, I would have been like, or do that for like if you need to do it for like a day, do it for like a day or whatever. But the fact that he illegally jacked into my power outside, which I think he had done at least once before that, honestly, if not a couple times before that. And then when I caught him in the act, and what's even more fucked up is that was before I had my curtain up the way it is right now, where I have like a double curtain over my window now. You can actually see through the blackout curtain. So when him and his buddy were walking to like plug that shit in, they could see my light on in here and know that I was fucking home. And then this motherfucker, after I flipped my outside light on and like caught the cord and then like yanking the shit to like the cord back that way is what it was. This asshole had the audacity to be like, oh, we didn't know anybody was home. As if that made it better, dude. Like, that made it so much fucking worse. And that's when I contacted the landlord about that one. I'm like, this dude's stealing my power. And then he got into like this whole thing about it. And if I had thought about it then, I should have just called the cops right then and there's what it was. But I waited until the next day. And then, of course, it was some fucking female black cop who came out and was like, oh, well, it's technically the landlord paying for this, right? And I'm like, no, it's going to my unit. I'm the one paying for this electricity, lady. Like, I want to file a report on this shit. She basically was like trying to throw it out like, not want to do paperwork, and it's like, well, then why the fuck you on the force then, bitch? Like, get the fuck out of here, you DEI hire piece of crap. So, yeah, she was the most garbage piece of shit, honestly, on the complete police force in this area, which, when I move out of here, I will call her out by name, and I will tell you guys exactly where I was living right now here after I move from here, so that people in the future know not to rent from this area. But yeah. Like, I'll put this fucking landlord guy on blast, honestly, when I move out of this place, dude. For real. Over everything here. Because, like I said, that happened back in, I think it was either mid to late May, or it was like early June when that happened. And he should have evicted Don on the spot right then and there, dude. Especially when I had my indoor camera catching the conversation that I had with Don on the porch there as it was. And then this motherfucker trying to like grab at my door handle and shit like that to like, as he was gonna like walk in my place, like, again, like, second time I think this is, I believe this happened before all the stuff with him being drunk and coming home like that is what it is there. But yeah, like, that would be the one time where like I was 100% in fear of my life at that point. Like, had I been pulled a gun in self-defense, like, and taken a shot, like, I would have been totally justified at that point, honestly, dude. Under Ohio Standard Ground Castle Doctrine laws. But anyway, because I totally wasn't fear of my life at that point, because the thing is, it's like, it's dude like committing like either a high level misdemeanor or a low level felony here is what it is. I'm not sure which. I think it was high level misdemeanor is what it is in the state of Ohio to steal utilities like that's what it is. But the fact that I already catch a guy in a criminal act and he's like trying to like act like he's gonna like pull my door open and like talk to me that way is what it is, and it's like, you ain't coming into my place, motherfucker, get the hell out of here kind of thing. And I think he realized that, and that's why he like backed the fuck up is what it is, because I kind of went like, my hand kind of like made like a turn towards my waistband, which I didn't have anything at the time, but I was like trying to figure out like where is a potential weapon in case I need one basically at that time, which sadly there wasn't one at the time, honestly. of any kind, whether it be, firearm, knife, whatever the case be. But now there's obviously something sitting around here that could, if something were to happen ever, like it would be a situation where I'd basically have, something to, at somebody with, if there ever was like a break in here or whatever. Which thankfully there hasn't been anything, and that's the thing too. Like when it came to that guy, like he was 100% the problem all the way around, is what it is, because everything since then, with him being gone for like these 30-something days now, is what it is. This place has been 1,000 times better, dude. Like there's been no criminal activity whatsoever. Here's what it is. So I know it was all his ass doing the shit then. So, but yeah. Like, had he just been for real with me and been like, hey, I need to, is there a chance I can like use your outside outlet because they turned my power off and I don't have enough money to pay to get back on right this second? I would have been like, well, how long are you going to need it for? And then been like, okay, you can use it for like the 24 hours or something like that's what it is then or something until you get your shit figured out. But I think really what this dude's problem was is that he was, supposedly he was on disability too, but he was also a drunkard. So he had, and I think what it was is he was drinking up most of the disability check as what it was then. I'm surprised he was able to afford rent at all, honestly. And I think there would have been some times where he was actually getting like some kind of weird assistance and like, I don't think technically it would have been like Section 8 voucher stuff or whatever the case be, but wouldn't surprise me if it was actually. So yeah, it was just him being a shitbag in general is what it was then. I have no idea where he went since he got evicted back on the 30th of December, but I have no clue at all. For all I know, he's going to start county jail or some other fucking county jail for that matter, or in state prison at this point. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, hell, he could be dead by now, because I'm sure he would have pissed off the wrong person at some point down the road here. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like shot and killed at some point in the last 30 days or so by somebody. But anyway, doesn't really matter. What matters is, like I said, the walls here are like very thin is what it is. And I realized after the fact, like I probably gave that dude more shit than he deserved, because I noticed with the neighbor kid over in the next that shared the wall with me for the kitchen dining room area there is what it is. I noticed him having some people over this past week or so when it's been cold and snowy and stuff, and they've been kind of loud at night is what it is. And it was almost as bad as Don's ass, because it was, I think last night it was around like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and I'm just like, dude, seriously? And then all of a sudden after that, it just seemed like they kind of just shut up. So I don't know if they were just like reading my mind or what it was with me. I haven't said anything, but I think there were one or two times where Mickey and whoever then was fooling around, and I thought it was Don, being an asshole when I was knocking on this wall when I should have been knocking on that wall, basically. So that was my bad on that one, and I'm not going to apologize to that guy, though, because he was a fucking douchebag in general. Like, it's like, yeah, you might have not done it the one time, he did it like 50 other times over, so fuck you anyway, is what it is. So, but yeah, like I said, it's been, with the exception of Mickey being a little bit loud this past week or so, it's been, for the most part, in the past 30 days, like, mostly peaceful, mostly quiet. I've been able to get like some decent afternoon naps and stuff like that's what it is. So yeah, it's just kind of, and it's sad that you have one person that ruins everything. And what's even sadder is that the dude who owns this place, like you would think truthfully, if you gave a shit about people that you're renting to, that you would, I don't know, maybe create a little hole in the wall and then plaster over it after the fact. But in the meantime, put like some insulation between the fucking walls or whatever, so that you don't have tenants like hearing each other's conversations and shit. Like that's what it is there. Because literally, like when this guy was living here, mind you, he was kind of like, I don't know if it was just like the bass in his voice or what it was. Because like I'm speaking right now, like the low level I'm speaking right now, he was probably like 4 to 5 levels higher than my volume right now is what it is when he was speaking. So it was like, he was like, hey man, like shit like that basically. And so yeah, I'm obviously gonna hear like conversation. The thing is, like, it's one thing when you're doing that at 2 in the afternoon. It's a whole other story when you're talking to somebody like that at 2:30 in the fucking morning, asshole. And quiet hours are supposed to start at 10 o'clock, then is what it is. So look, my lips are really chapping today. Let me see if I can find my, got some lip balm or something over here. There it is. Just fell. Yeah, I picked a bunch of these up from Amazon here recently. There it is, different flavors of lip balm stuff. This one's grape. So, but anyway. Get a little bit of that, like lip balm chapstick on my mouth. Should help with my crazy dryness here. I think a lot of it's just the dryness of the air right now because I noticed that we had, when it comes to the weather recently, I think this morning it was about -8 or 9 again. So it's definitely getting cold here again. And I heard this coming Friday, we're supposed to potentially have another snowstorm coming in. That is what it is. And I'm like, God damn it, winter, like, just cut the shit already. Like, and not even just winter, but like, U.S. government, stop with the HARP shit, dude. Like, we don't need any more weather manipulation stuff to create more storms and shit. So, but yeah, it's just bad. That's what it is. And the thing is, though, like, the snow that's outside right now, like, it still hasn't melted. Like, that's the crazy part. Like, there's probably, like, at least, like, 8 to 10 inches of snow is still not melted down. And the reason I know that it's about 8 to 10 inches is because when I had to, from everything that happened with the toilet then, I ended up having to throw away some stuff today is what it was. I'm not going to say what it was. I think you guys know what it was, though. And, but anyway, ended up taking that out of the dumpster. And of course, there was no real pathway to the actual parking lot there. So I couldn't just like walk through a pathway. I had to literally blaze my own trail. And it was legitimately like at least like ankle to shin deep. So every step I took. So it was probably, I would say, at least a good 6 to 7 inches out there, if not more than that still. And it's because, unfortunately, the way that this weather is, it used to be that we would get, warm up after all these storms, but now it's basically been a complete cold front this whole time. And so it's just keeping the shit around. It's not being able to melt. It's not getting high enough to melt what it is there. So that's the thing. It's not really that's not really the case of it. The case of it is that we, as a state, we're used to being like, okay, it's going to be like springtime, like April, May, or whatever, and we have like one last snowstorm. That's what it is usually. It's like a late winter, early spring snowstorm is what it is there, and that's a normal fact in Ohio. But yeah, these like just intense storms like this, and then just constant snow everywhere is what it is there, is not usually the case because it was a whole thing. That being said, if we actually still owned my mom's place, if she was still alive and I was still there right now, I would probably be showing you guys like a driveway that's just like has a vehicle in it, and then like the vehicle is just like covered in like an entire foot of snow is my guess, honestly, because I heard the other day from people that are still living on that road and like the adjacent roads from there. She what was I gonna say? Yeah, they apparent like, mind you, that road that I used to live on there is what it was for 35 plus years of my life was there. It was it's technically like a secondary road, but apparently the snowplow guys did not bother going down it at all, and it was just completely, or I think maybe they did go down it once or twice, but the problem was they went down it like way early in the snowstorm and didn't bother throwing down any like de-icer or any like shit to break up any of the snow or whatever. So it was basically, you had like whatever like the first like inch or two was like scraped up bottom or whatever then, and then there was like another like 7 or 8 inches that fell after that, as it was then throughout that whole thing. Because I know here where I'm living right now, we got a foot here from that last storm from Fern, and then where I would have lived at there back in EC, it was, I think, about 10.5 inches, give or take, is what they got over there. So, and yeah, the people that were living there on the old road, they were like, dude, this is some bullshit. We're all stuck in here is what it is. So yeah, I guarantee I would have been stuck inside for like the last couple weeks of it is there. But at least then my mom and I would have been prepped up as what it is, and we would have been able to cook still, I think, because I think our power would still be good as what it is then. But yeah, it's like a whole thing. I know. I heard today actually it was Randy Sandoval and Katina, that Katina chick that does the kilos is what it is there. They're both compared to Reader People's what it is. I forget exactly where he lives at because I do follow him on Facebook where he's doing his challenges and shit. And he was actually like the last several days now, I guess, has been posting about how he and her are actually snowed in their place. There's what it is. And they're without power for like the last week now is what it is from this storm. And I think that I want to say that's someplace in Virginia, but I could be wrong about where exactly they live there is what it is. So it could be way worse than that, honestly. I could be without power is what it is here and just be, freezing to death basically slowly is what it is. So, at least there's that where I'm not in that situation. But it also does kind of, it does show you in this, not only all this stuff, but also like the clog up is what it is from my toilet. There's what it is. It really showed me where I'm at right now. And, like that I do basically have like next to no sanitation plan if like shit ever does go south. And we do have like, an EMP burst or some kind of grid down situation where you would have like sanitation be an issue. And I think that's what a lot of people do. So I'm definitely I'm gonna start preparing now, I think is what it is, and figuring out like better sanitation stuff right now is what it is, and like better sanitation plan for wherever I move to is what it is then in case something does happen where I'm renting in the future or something. So because obviously, like even if you own a house or something like that, like you can only have so much water on hand to potentially use to like flush a toilet when there's no power. And eventually it's gonna, there could have a clog up or a backup or something. That's what it is there. So you have to have some kind of sanitation plan. That's what it is there. But unfortunately, I think it's gonna. I think honestly, truthfully, if there ever was like a disease, virus, whatever the case be, was going to wipe out humanity, it would be something where whoever survives the initial death count, they're going to be fucked anyway because you're going to have so many dead people that you would have to deal with. Like you would almost pretty much have to abandon like wherever the fuck you're at that point and just make your way someplace in like some mountain region or some like just various area where there's like very little people to have like a decent like backwoods cabin or something like that kind of situation or whatever then. So which does kind of make you think about it after the fact, like how many of our forefathers and our ancestors and stuff like that used to live here back in the 1900s, 1800s, etc. There's what it was, and we're still using outhouses, and how they had to move those outhouses after a certain amount of time because obviously the shit would eventually back up into the bowl is what it is there. And I actually remember a story that I heard several years ago. I think I was watching, if I'm not mistaken, I was watching Alaska: The Last Frontier or a clip from it or something. It was like a bunch of years back now is what it was. And it was that Otto Kilter guy, and he was talking about living out there in the backwoods of Alaska. There's what it is, and them obviously having no indoor plumbing, where it was legitimately them going to an outhouse and taking a shit, and there's what it is, or a piss or whatever the case be. And he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to move this pretty soon because that poop is getting almost right to my ding-a-ling," or something like that. So it was basically him like whipping his dick out to take a piss, and it was like almost hitting the shit in the fucking outhouse. So yeah, it's like, ew, gross. So, but yeah, eventually you'd have to like, if I'm not mistaken, when you move those outhouses, you basically just take like a front end loader or something. That's what it is. They hook it up there and like move the actual structure itself then, and then it would basically just be putting down where the shit pile used to be and like stomping that down and then just like filling up with dirt over the facts is what it is there. So you gotta think about that because I'm guessing that was what a lot of our forefathers and ancestors used to do is what was there. Obviously they haven't had machinery back then, so it'd be like probably horsepower to move the actual outhouses what it is then when that filled up. So it does make you wonder how much of the dirt and soil and stuff like that we're actually like digging into now is actually just human fecal matter that got like mixed back into the mix is what it is there. Same thing with graves too, for that matter. Like how many, dead people's pauper graves and stuff like that, or just like unmarked graves, human remains and stuff like that were in the soil system that just got like ground up from like various digging and building and stuff like that then. So I've thought about that as a possibility. The issue there is that everything I've looked into, I cannot afford it, even with the cash that I got from mom's inheritance is what it is from the house sale. Or if I did, it would basically be, it would pay that off pretty much, and then I'd have nothing as a nest egg of any kind if I ever needed to have like money. And then the thing too there is like, where am I going to park the RV at? Because if I would go, rent a place or buy a place or whatever the case be, like it would be buying a plot of land, and that was not cheap, obviously, here in Ohio even. And having to set up like septic and shit on that would be a pain in the ass too. And then even if I was to just travel or whatever the case be, I still wanted to go get my license and stuff as well, and be able to get like, depending on what kind of RV it is, I think I would have to get like a class 2 driver's license for like a CDL and stuff like that, and that's even more of a pain in the ass then. So yeah. Even if I was living at like a trailer park, it wouldn't be a good deal, because when I was looking at, I think I told you guys about that trailer before, it would be another county there. But then I found out after the fact that that trailer park was basically a hot mess. Like it would basically be the fucking felony criminal at Dawn was. It would be like those all around me at that place. And then apparently on top of that, like they charge, it seems like every single year at that shitty trailer park there where that place was, which I forget which county that was in. I don't think it was Summit County. I think it was someplace else though. So it was like 2 or 3 counties over me or something like that is what it was there. But basically, they jack up everybody's lot rental every single year, it seems like, for the last like decade there. The people there are even bigger scumlords than this guy right here that I'm currently renting from, where they are legitimately allowing people to have water tables there that are completely filled with salt water is what it is. Or not, it's not even salt water, it's like basically toxic water, where if you touches your skin, it basically starts like being acidic on your skin is what it is there, and like burning you. And they haven't bothered fixing that there, so I don't know what the hell the problem is there. It's got to be some kind of mineral content, or maybe some dumping ground around there for like toxic waste or something like that is leaked into the water table, something like that's what it is there. And these people that own that trailer park have not fixed that. That was what it is there. And so everybody that lives there has to basically get their water imported. So that costs like X amount of dollars per month is what it is there. And then my understanding is the people that rent that trailer park out there do not bother doing background checks. So you have all kinds of sexual predators there and like everything else for that matter. And I guarantee it's like that with a lot of other trailer parks in Ohio. So even if I was to get like an RV and like park in a trailer park and like do like a lot rental or whatever the case be, who's to say that my next door neighbor is not going to be some fucking pedophile or some thief or something else for that matter? And I'm not trying to say like everybody lives in trailer parks a piece of shit, because they're not. Like they just can't afford anything else that is there. And this is the problem going full circle back to where our fucking society sits right now is what it is, where you got piece of shit motherfuckers like Mike DeWine, who's the current Ohio governor, and that fucking cocksucker piece of shit Indian anchor baby Ramaswamy, who's trying to run for the governorship, are trying to protect the fucking Haitian pieces of shit that are in the state right now in Springfield and places like that, when these assholes have literally stolen hundreds of thousands, not millions of dollars from us already with their temporary precious status bullshit, Biden's bullshit ass, which should never been a thing anyway, because the guy's a fucking cheating piece of crap is what it is. Everything that motherfucker did should have been null and void on the spot then, as soon as Trump took office again. And that included the temporary protection crap is what it is there. But yeah, my understanding now is it's supposed to be, I believe it is this coming Tuesday, which would be the 3rd, is when the Haitian temporary protection status that should never exist in the first place is finally going to be null and voided. And it's when ICE is going to come in here and start, kicking ass and taking names and kicking these people fuck out of our country. What it is then, thank God. And the worst part about that is you got dipshit DeWine going on camera and being all like, oh, we should totally keep these people here because they're totally a pillar of the community. It's like, no, the fuck they're not, dude. You literally had people in Springfield who were at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles there who were interpreters for these fucking scumbags because they wouldn't learn fucking English and actually assimilate into our country is what it is there. They literally told you they refused to go and learn your English classes, bro. And that alone should kick them the fuck out right then and there is what it is. But the problem was there as well is that the reason you had so many accidents being caused in the Springfield area there is because you had an interpreter or multiple interpreters there that would speak their Haitian dialect, and they were telling them the exact answers to the questions on driver's license tests here. So they were giving these people driver's licenses that were so fucking retarded they couldn't even answer a simple fucking question. about how to drive because you don't know how to fucking drive is what it is there, and then you wonder why you get on the road with these assholes and they're fucking causing all kinds of accidents and fender benders and shit like that. It's like, it's not that hard to figure out, dude. Like, take the fucking license that you never got in the fucking first place. Whoever the people were that were telling the answers, arrest their fucking asses for various shit at that point, including every single wreck that was caused by these douchebags, et cetera, and we would be better off as a country now than it is there. But yeah, it's time for these fuckers to go, dude. It's time for the low IQ idiots that aren't American citizens to get the fuck out of this country entirely. And even the ones that claim to be American citizens, they're all Islamic followers and to get the fuck out too at that point, honestly, dude. Because I guarantee you, if we got rid of these 67 IQ and 73 IQ dipshits like that, you would have the American intellect go way the fuck up very quickly as what it is there. Because right now, I think our average IQ as Americans was like 100 or so, maybe 105, something like that. I guarantee we'd be like 140 or 150 at that point with these fucking people gone then. So, or at least like 130s anyway. Like I guarantee we'd jump at least 20, 25 points at that point, honestly. So, but yeah, I'm fucking over all of it right now is what it is. So my plan right now is basically in the next 50-ish days or so, hopefully find another place I can move into come March 30th is what it'll be then. Have all my stuff packed up then, get, the 2-man and truck guys out here what it is, or whoever is local here is what it is then. And just have them basically transport like 90% of my shit over there. The only thing I have to do myself, obviously, is my weapons, and that's one big thing right now is I think I believe they would technically take my empty gun locker for me, but I would still have to transport my own, rifles, shotguns, handguns, etc. So, which is fine. I can do that, and I plan on doing that anyway because I don't want random people like having possession of my firearms as it isn't ever. So, I think that shit's all in my possession, dude. So my thinking honestly is it would be sometime before I move out. What I might do is I might do what I did with my cousin before, which is basically put that shit in some gun cases, put some locks through the gun cases that have the locking areas on them. Just lock them up basically and have them taken to his place for a little bit. And then from there it would be whatever's left and I could just take out here is what it is then. Probably most likely my plan will be anything that's like an AR lower, AR upper that I have right now. That could be like split apart and put in the stuff. I'll probably put in the bags again is what it'll be then or something. And it would just be me taking a bunch of bags over to the place with various, parts of a gun. I don't know what the fuck I'm hearing outside right now. Somebody's either spinning their tires or let me check my doorbell camera out front here. See if I can't see something. If it'll be right in this area, I can see it, but if it's over there, which I think is probably in the parking lot back here, I don't think I can see it. Yeah, so somebody's like spinning their tires or something right now. Or has like a weird tea kettle going or something. Weird. Yeah, I'm not seeing nothing. All right, well. Oh, bomb cyclone worsens travel. That's fucking great. Yep, there comes the trains now. Of course, I swear to God, dude. I think there is a train that comes around like 5 o'clock, like every day is what it is now. So, this is our current temperature right now where I'm at. 19 degrees feels like 10. So, that could be worse. It's going to be about half that. Or it'll be like 4 and 5 in a couple hours. So, but yeah, I think you guys can hear the train right now where it's like, they're doing it like a bunch of times there. I have no problem with them doing it right now, like 5 o'clock or before dark or whatever. But the problem is when it's like, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, or like last night, it was like 1:30 in the morning, 1:45, 2:15, 2:30. Oh, okay, it's nice and quiet for like an hour. Oh, 3:30 or 4 o'clock. Now it's going again now. So, whereas I'm pretty sure if they just barricaded this area or like put up like sound barricade stuff that is there through legislation, I think it would be fine then. Like, if you just had that on the thing or whatever, where it wouldn't, like the train horns wouldn't come through that, honestly. Like, this would be a livable place for sure, 100%. But, you know, when you got that crap going on, and like I said, it's not going on constantly, obviously, because we've been here for like an hour now, and it's just now. I think that was one of the, I'm trying to think how many trains I heard this morning, actually. I want to say maybe 2 or 3 before I started this stream, so that would be maybe like the 4th or 5th one now that went through. This today is what it is. For this afternoon is what it is, obviously. So yeah, like you can have like several hours of quiet, honestly, and like if you're just sitting here for like 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it is, there, you might not hear a train at all. But yeah, sure enough, if you live here for like a day or two, you're gonna hear like a crazy amount of trains, what it is then. And the only good thing is when it's like super shitty, like it is these past like storms and stuff like that. There was like nothing coming through. I think maybe there was like one during that entire like 4 or 5 day storm time period. So it was fucking awesome, dude. And it can be really quiet like that. But then like last summer, which would have been like, I think it was after Dawn stole my electricity or maybe before. Well, no, it wouldn't be before that. It would have been, I'm trying to think now, maybe like July of last year, or maybe late June of last year, somewhere in there. There was a 3-day time span. It was like Sunday, I think it was Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Maybe it was like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, somewhere in there. It was those 3 days basically, where between the start of them and the end of them, there was over 200 and I believe 50 trains that came through. Like I know it was over 200, but I think it was closer to 250 or so is what happened, like 252, something like that was what it was. I did my final count or something. But yeah, like there was over 200 trains in that 3-day time span. Like, you want to talk about having no sleep for 72 hours and just micro napping at that point, dude? Like, that's what I was doing that then. Like, I was so exhausted. Like, I was ready to just, like, be like, I'm not going to be here anymore. Like, I'm going to go get a hotel or something kind of thing is what it is there. But obviously, I couldn't do that is what it was. But, yeah, it's a bad deal. I actually saw an interesting one, too, recently, where it was this woman talking about hotel living and how there's people that are actually renting hotel rooms for like a year is what it is and just living in them. The issue there, obviously, is that it's more than what I would make in a year from my disability checks. By like a few bucks here is what it is. I think it shows about $1,000 a month, and I make just under that for disability right now is what it is, which I really wish Ohio would just, like it's a joke when they give people disabilities what it is, dude, for real. When you're giving people under $1,000 a month to live on, like, that's not living, dude. That is barely existing, and you wonder why people are, barely scraping by is what it is there. So, which I want to point something out to everybody out there that's watching this. Like, the only reason I have all those knives I have is because of mom's inheritance money. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have those knives. Because my disability check would have never covered any of that stuff. So, or it might have covered like 1 or 2 here and there, not the crazy amount that I bought, obviously. Which some of those have since been sent back, and I got my money back for them because there were several of the lesser steals that I decided, like, yeah, I'm not about this after. Like it was later, it was close to like the 30-day mark, and I was finally able to get them back to, places that would ship them back to Amazon. That's what it was. So, and then unfortunately, there's a couple I got stuck with that I really don't want. I'll probably just sell them off to somebody what it is then. Or even do like, if I find like, going to like, if I'm like, I got a bunch of family friends is what it is that have younger kids that I went to high school with. Not the kids, obviously went to high school with their parents. But yeah, I went to high school with the parents, and now I got a bunch of kids is what it is there that are either friends of mine or friends of the family is what it is here. And if nothing else, like if I would go and hang out with them or whatever the case be, I'd be like, hey, here's a belated birthday gift for like your son or whoever it is then. And it would just be like one of these little shitty knives or whatever then. Or even for them, for that matter, I'd be like, hey, I heard you got a birthday coming up here, or whatever the case. Happy birthday, man. And it's just like this little shitty knife, or whatever the case be, just get rid of it. That's what it is then. So, but yeah, it's a hell of a thing then for sure. Actually, now that we are getting closer to darkness, because it is quite dark behind me right now, I'm going to show you guys the light right now that I was talking about yesterday. Yeah, it's got quite a good throw to it, man. And you can shift it to the UV light, which is pretty cool. You can see it's picking up the stuff on my hat right now from the UV. And then you can shift it to I don't think it's coming up on camera. There it is, laser pointer there. So pretty cool. And then of course it's got your little charge thing there, which is now 94% currently. But yeah, you can just shift it through all the modes and then eventually lock it out, and it should shut off. There you go. Yeah, it takes a couple seconds to shut off then. And then of course when it's on the thing here, you can hit this little back button and it goes crazy strobe. So yeah, I gotta say, for $40 for a flat flashlight is a pretty good deal, man. So unfortunately it does not want to, stay on the bill of the hat because it's just too heavy. And this is pretty heavy. Like you could legitimately use this as a weapon against somebody. It's not quite like Maglite, like beat somebody with, but like it's damn close for sure. So anyway, but yeah, needless to say, I don't want to. I'd like to go to someplace safe is what it is, and I hope I can find a different spot here is what it is then. That I won't be like right by the trains is what it is. I know the one place I was looking at renting last year, before it got rented out by somebody else then, it was my cousin's buddy who, I want to say that place, I can't remember if that place was like $850 or if it was like $900 a month without utilities. Or maybe it was with utilities. I can't remember offhand. But yeah, my understanding was that place, like, if I will, like, let me go back and see if I can find the paper again. Because I was going to bring up my little X paper again. You guys can tell the train tracks were close to me as it is here. My understanding is, like, where that house sits, it's like another house next to it. And then it's about 10 feet down as like a train track. So, which the trains don't come through there all the time, but when they do, like, obviously you're going to hear the shit happens what it is there. So I don't really want to move from like one train track to another train track. You know what I'm talking about, man? I'm actually considering going back to the 273 Days book that I was going to write based on fucking Don's piece of shit ass and my horror here with his bitch ass being here next to me as a neighbor for almost the entire year is what it was. I was seriously considering writing another book, and it would basically just be called something like The Trains. And it would be about a dude who basically just goes insane from just like the constant train noise. So, just to be clear, I'm not saying I'm going insane from the constant train noise because it's not always constant now, but yeah, it's definitely affected my sleep, and it's somewhat affected my mental health a little bit here and there than it is, just because it's made me, so sleep deprived times where it's just, you just exhaust out and you just fall asleep for like a day is what it is. Or try to fall asleep for like a day, but then all of a sudden the trains come back again is what it is there. So, but yeah, I don't think people realize like how bad like train noise is, or really just like any constant noise like that, until you're like living either right next to it or right in it, and then it just becomes like this whole clusterfuck as it is. So, yeah, it's no good, man. It's no good for anybody. So. And I totally understand the way why there's so many people out there now that when they're doing like a various vlog of some kind, it's always in their car. And it's because they're living in apartment complexes where they probably got thin walls as what it is and don't want to do streams in their apartment as what it is there. Or even maybe want to talk shit about the people that live in their apartment as what it is there or something without them hearing it then. So, but yeah, I ended up talking to Clint, who lives in the adjacent. Mickey lives right across from me, and then Clint lives down from him as what it is there. I ended up going over to his place this morning because I was thinking that my shitty landlord wasn't going to do his job and get anybody out or whatever the case be. And I was like, hey, do you by chance have a toilet snake that I could borrow? He's like, no, I don't. And I was like, all right, well, thanks anyway. And I asked him about if it was him that was, because it was Tuesday night about 10:30 or so, when somebody came around here with a snowblower, and I'm like, was that you that did that? He's like, no, I was the one that was shoveling your walk there that one day. And I was like, well, thank you for that. And yeah, it turned out my understanding was talking to the maintenance guy, helper guy, whatever it was, the landlord today when he was out here unclogging my toilet a few hours ago. That's what it was. Is that it was most likely the mowing service that my landlord employs for this place. They also have like a snow blower / snow removal service on top of that. And I think what it was is that because he's paying all year around for this stuff, they eventually decided to come out here and was like, yeah, we need to create some like sidewalk space for like ADA, so we get rid of the ADA violations and actually have people that can, that are disabled like myself, be able to walk out and not hurt ourselves with what it is there. So, which if they had done it correctly, what they should have done was they should have made a secondary path through towards where the dumpster is sitting, so that people could walk out that way too easily, because there really is not a pathway out there at all. Like if you're taking trash to the dumpster, which I had to do this morning, obviously, I literally had to blaze my own trail. Like I said, it was about 6 inches of snow that my shoes and stuff. If I had thought about it better, I probably should have put on my boots, honestly. It still would have gone for my boots, obviously, but it would have been a lot less because it would have been, my boots are pretty high, and it would have added a lot more stability where I almost fell a couple times with my cane out there. So it just was a mess, basically, and just not a fun time at all. So, yeah. And then I guarantee if the landlord was like pissed at me or whatever the case be because I left like a bag of trash outside for like a day or something before this, like it's like, yeah, dude, when you got like, fucking 8 or 9 inches of snow outside, whatever the fuck it is now, and I can't trudge through it properly. My back is all fucked, guy, which you know about because I'm disabled is what it is there. Maybe don't give me shit, So, which I don't think is giving me shit about that. What I'm saying is like them talking about the clogging stuff today, what it is there. So I don't know. It's a fucking mess though. And the thing is like I don't understand. Like the one thing I don't get about his whole deal there is what it is. Like when I'm telling you last night, like, dude, I need maintenance. Like, how is your first instinct to send me a fucking video of me trying to unclog it myself instead of just being like, especially when I'm telling you that he's a snake, obviously, through the toilet, instead of just being like, all right, I'll try to get a maintenance person or my helper out there sometime tomorrow. Like, just tell me that, dude. Like, how hard is that? And then just contact them and have them come out there is what it is. So, and like I said, the fact that he doesn't have an actual maintenance guy on staff right now is what it seems like. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's at least one of these guys around here right now that you could easily discount their rent or give them even free rent for that matter to just be the maintenance guy on the fucking property is what it is then. And if we need a maintenance guy, then we just go and knock on that dude's door is what it is then or something. So, like even being a part-time maintenance guy or whatever the case be, like let the guy do it after work or something if that be the case, So it just seems asinine, honestly, to not have like somebody on staff that's available whenever. So, because it's unacceptable is what it is. And then the fact that he's trying to tell me now that like, oh, if you shit ever clogs upon you again, like it's all your fault now, basically, and clean up yourself, basically. And I'm like, the fuck, dude? Like, I don't know. It just, because the thing is, he's telling a disabled guy to basically clean up his own, mess is what it is. And it's like, I'm not going to get into detail, but needless to say, like, there was a lot of things in that toilet bowl last night that needed to be taken out, and I had to do stuff with bleach in my bathtub. And I'll leave it at that, and I'll let you guys figure it out from there what it is. Because there was no way I was going to be able to get rid of all that garbage water otherwise, unless it went down a drain. So, but, yeah. Whereas a dude had just sent somebody out last night, before I ended up having to go to the bathroom a bunch of times, it would not have been an issue then. And it probably wouldn't have been as clogged as it was this morning then. He did finally send the guy out there to do it. So, yeah, it's not a fun day, man, at all. And, you know, like the thing is, it's not even like I haven't had my rent in on time with this guy like every single month I've lived here. Like, in fact, I've had it like 2 weeks early in some cases where I've sent it to his freaking PO box. So, but yeah, it's just a bunch of shit, honestly, dude. So, anyway. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, though, I got one more rent check I got to send him now, which I ordered some checks today that are going to be at some point here in the next couple weeks. So whenever those come in, I'll just fill one of those out and have that be my final rent check to him for the main lease. And if I have to lease come April, I'll just talk to him then about that and be like, hey, how much are you going to charge me if I just go month to month from now on? And is it going to be the same price, or are you going to try and jack up the rent on me, or whatever the case be? Because knowing him, he probably would, honestly. Like I would hope it keeps the 725, honestly. Or if he would be like, okay, it's 750 now, whatever, for the next month or however how long. Because if I could work out something with him right now, where it'd be like a 3-month time span or whatever extension to like June 1st or something, I would totally do that right now, just because I want to. I would like to be here to at least vote in the primaries, is what it is then. And then nothing else. If I move after that, then I would rechange my address after that, is what it is then, before November. But it would be nice to be able to, be able to be here and be able to be able to vote from this address, as what it is then. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case right now. So, and unless I find something before March 30th, I will definitely. I'm not going to re-sign up for another year, obviously, because there's no way I'm living here for another fucking year, is what it is. Especially not with that bullshit day, what it is. Telling me I basically got to deal with my own plumbing issues when you are literally contracted as a fucking landlord to do that stuff. Because the thing is, even with tenant, like I was looking at Ohio tenants' rights actually yesterday, and under tenant rights, specifically for repairs and maintenance, landlords must keep units in a fit and habitable condition, complying with all health and safety codes. That guy was not, by the way, with that yesterday. If repairs are not made within a reasonable time, up to 30 days, tenants may escrow rent with a court. And yeah, it can be a situation where it goes that whole thing. So, let's see. Okay, so this is something interesting I just found out right now when I was looking this up, which is apparently under Ohio law. For month-to-month Tennessee, either party may terminate month-to-month lease by providing a full 30-day notice to the other party. Which I don't know if that would have to be like me sending him a letter and saying that, or if that would have to be me like texting him. Would be like the notice and that thing. So, and then we got rent increases. Landlords must provide at least 30 days notice before increasing rent to a month-to-month agreement. For a month-to-month agreement. So that's good to know. So if it's not going to be increased immediately for the month-to-month, like you'd have to basically do it like 30 days after that's what it is then. Let's see. Eviction rules process. Landlord cannot legally remove a tenant, lock them out, or remove their belongings without a court order. Depending on the reason, a notice to leave the premises can be 3 days, non-payment of rent or drug activity, or 30 days. Which I think this one was the one that Don's ass got. Then was the notice to vacate premises or whatever. And that was that was the day I noticed my light bulb was gone too out there, because I went to go my mail that day is what it was. And this was back, I believe it would have been sometime in November, I think. Or maybe like December 1st, one of the two. And I had gone past that dude's door there. Or no. Did I go past his door there? Yeah, I think I did go past his door there. And because I noticed there was like pieces of tape on the door and like a little piece of paper on one of the pieces of tape that was there. He had like clearly like ripped it off as it was in like anger. And it's like, well, that was your own fault, dude, because really you should move it to like 6 months before that's what was there. And like I said, the fact that dude waited like X amount of time. And what's even crazier to me too is like when it came to my landlord and this Don asshole is this dude locked himself out so many times and apparently broke back in that this dude had to change his freaking locks for him and was like, oh, I was just over the other day changing his fucking locks. Like, I didn't see anything wrong with the place. And I'm like, well, he's clearly doing something because he's knocking shit against the wall or something every single night is what it seems like, dude. So, and the thing is, it's like, if the guy knows you're coming, like, do you really think he's going to leave out, like, drug paraphernalia or, like, cocaine or something for you to see? No, he's going to put that shit in, like, the toilet tank or whatever the fuck it is there. Or hide under a mattress or some shit. To where it's not, like, visible. I'm not saying the guy was doing cocaine or selling cocaine or whatever the case be, but I mean, for all the fuck I know, he was, honestly. So, although for him it was probably crack, honestly, if it was anything. Because he kind of seemed like a bit of a crackhead, honestly. But that's besides the point. Point of the fact of the matter is that it's just a bunch of shit all the way around, dude. And I'm just so fucking glad that guy's gone. That's what it is. That being said, it is now 5:30. I do have a couple things I need to do before tonight. Next hour or so, here's what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and go do that stuff right now is what it is. And I also need to eat still today because I haven't really eaten today. Because I was so worried about, everything with the toilet that I was kind of, do I really want to put stuff in my body that could potentially be expelled from my body? And I'm like, no, not really. So, yeah, my stomach is definitely growling right now. So I'm going to go try and make some food that I think is what it'll be and get a little something in my system. And hopefully I'll feel better after that's what it is there because I know stuff I was doing last night to deal with the toilet bowl situation, I think maybe made me a little bit sick at the time. So, which I think sleep actually helped with that is what it was, thankfully. But yeah, at least I got a working toilet. It's a little, and I'm wondering if maybe that's why the landlord got pissed at me because I straight up told him when I was like, you need to send me this dude because this is not a livable situation or whatever the case be. Maybe he got pissed about that is what it was then. Which the fact of the matter is it's not, dude. Like you got people having, clogged toilets. Doesn't matter if it's their fucking fault or whatever the case be. Like whatever, dude. Like, okay, then send somebody out here and I'll pay them for their time and whatever. Then, like don't be a fucking douchebag though and be like, oh, I'm not gonna send anybody in the future. It's all your fault now, or whatever the case be. And it's like, but what if it's not my fault? What if it's just a shitty toilet, honestly, that's going bad? Because that's one thing I noticed today actually was that when the maintenance guy / helper guy of his left with the bigger snake, with the bigger snake or the smaller snake? I think it was the bigger snake. He had apparently taken my toilet tank off and realized there was something going on with everything back there because he had pulled like a piece of something off there, is what it was then. That was bad or something. And I think he ended up replacing that as what it was then. So there was something in there with like the flapper or whatever the case be there that was definitely like an issue, as what it was. Maybe something busted off or something is what was there. So I don't know, but I guarantee that was part of the fix there because, like I said, after the fact, like whenever it got fixed, if it was, because I think it was only maybe 70% functioning at the time that I was using it when the shit got clogged up, if even that much. So I really think it was just not functioning 100% as what it was then. And it probably was something that should have been dealt with like a week or two before that, but I just kind of brushed it off whatever at the time then. Whereas if I'd realized it was going to be an issue, I would have had him out here before that then, or had somebody out here before there then, and had that shit dealt with what it was then, because that's ridiculous. And yeah, like you can't expect, that's the thing. You can't expect a disabled, like in the first place, you can't expect just a tenant in general to have like various shit on hand to do stuff with. Number one. Number two, you shouldn't expect a tenant who is disabled and has like serious disability issues with their back and knee to have to be the one to like take care of bullshit like that, dude. When you should really have a maintenance guy and fucking staff to do that stuff for them. So, anyway. But yeah, it's just fucking infuriating beyond belief, honestly. So, like I said, I truthfully want to get the fuck out of here as fast as possible with this then, and then just move on from there. And if it means, even if it means like even if I could like legitimately, if I could find a place like mid-month next month, and I can move out immediately into that place or whatever, I would seriously consider doing that. Honestly, like even having paid for the rent for this place for like the rest of that month or whatever, like I would consider moving out of here and going to that place or whatever then. Before then, so. But yeah, as soon as I finish this stream today, I'm gonna go to Zillow and look for some different places in the various areas. Here's what it is, and see if I can find a better place to go move to, or if that one place that I was looking at before is still potentially available. Because I think that place could be good, honestly. It would definitely be a bigger space for sure, and I think it would be a lot thicker walls too, for that matter. Whereas I could probably have like some good buddies over at that one, and I know they have the nice thing about that place is they have a functioning pool there during the spring and summertime, and then they also have like an indoor little gym equipment area there, where potentially I could just, if I want to go in there and just like maybe do a little bit of walking on a treadmill or something like that while holding onto the sides of the treadmill, like I can get my stamina back up maybe and stuff like that, and be able to help my knee and things out like that, what it is there or something. Give myself some like, personal physical therapy or whatever the case be then, to try and get my weight down a little bit more than I need, because it definitely needs to get back down there to what it is now. I haven't even bothered checking it this month, which I need to, because I know I've definitely gained some weight here is what it is. That definitely need to get off that weight right now is what it is, because I think unfortunately a lot of the cases I'm just stress eating, and when I'm stress eating is like go-tos, which is like, tends to be candy and snack food and stuff like that. So, which is definitely not good for anybody. So I definitely want to get in a better position where I'm actually, eating healthier. And I really want to get in a position right now where I can finally unpack everything, get all my Tupperware out, and then finally start using some meal prep stuff is what it is then. Because if I could at least start doing like a meal prep situation, I could easily just go and, maybe do like 3 or 4 days where I just cook like a chicken or something, and then I just put it in like a meal prep situation, and I just grab that out as what it is then. I just either heat it up or eat it cold or whatever the case be, or maybe make a chicken salad or something with it, what it is there. So just get a lot healthier eating and my stuff, and probably I almost guarantee if I change my diet that way too in the coming months here, that I could definitely be a lot more energetic than I am right now. I would probably also be able to get a lot more sleep too in the new place for that matter. And hopefully I wouldn't be, encountering any YNs or ONs or any kind of other Ns for that matter. So, because Dawn was definitely an ON. And for those who don't know what that means, it's the first word is old. You can figure out the rest for yourself as what it is there. So, yeah, I'm not really a fan of that, though, is what it is, just because I've heard things recently with rotisserie chickens that are not the greatest. Not to mention the weird shit with our food supply now, or I don't know if those people have heard about that. I know it was I believe it was Indiana, not Missouri. Yeah, it was Indiana, Minnesota, and I forget what the third state was. Maybe it was Missouri was the third place. But there was 3 different states that were on the list where there was over 200 plus food recalls, from anything from Cheerios to Skittles to everything in between. And it was all due to like rat fecal matter / salmonella concerns in the food supplies, what it is there. So, and I find it very interesting too that like all of a sudden when we have a bunch of third world shitholders in our country now, it is there, that now all of a sudden in the last 5, 6, 7 years now, we suddenly have all this fucking, food recalls and various, E. coli and salmonella outbreaks and stuff like that, what it is. So maybe don't hire fucking third world trash companies and CEOs. Maybe stop trying to undercut the American people for jobs and actually hire Americans who understand sanitation and don't want fucking rat shit in their Rice Krispies is what it is. Or even in their Cheerios for that matter. So anyway, but yeah, I'm just fucking overall right now is what it is. Like, ideally, if I could, I would just have like a cabin in the woods, with some Starlink, a decent shitter, and basically grow my own food off the land is what it is then. So, but unfortunately, that's not the case right now. One thing I do want to do this summer, though, at some point, if I can, and if anybody's interested out there, I would like to take a Kentucky/Tennessee trip to go visit specifically Waverly Hills Sanatorium as the first stop, and then the second stop, potential final stop, would be Land Between the Lakes. And I would let in those time spans. I'm guessing it'd probably be about a week, maybe two. Honestly, we'd be out there for. And my thinking is the Kentucky trip to Waverly Hills, I would like to do one where we could go overnight there is what it is and do like an investigation. So it'd be like me and 9 other people potentially like all throwing money in together and like staying the night for like 8 hours at Waverly Hills and seeing how much ghost activity goes on there is what it is. Because the thing is, like, when you have like over 8,000 people that died at that place, like there's no way there's not like a fuck ton of ghost activity everywhere in that place, dude. So that's one place I definitely want to go see before I die is what it is. And then the second one would be Land Between the Lakes, mostly because there's so much creepy shit around there. I'd like to check it out myself and see what I know that those Nightmare Hunter podcast guys were talking about it last night and how like creepy that area is and stuff like that with like the doll place that they have there that somebody created. And I'd like to go check that out personally. And I'd also like to just go check out the Land Between the Lakes area in general, where I kind of want to see if I have a cryptid encounter down there is what it is, whether it be Dogman or Bigfoot or anything for that matter, really is what it is. So, because it's one thing I definitely want to do before I die. And yeah, after that, it really doesn't matter. So, if we want to go someplace else and check out some other stuff, then on that trip too, that's cool. But what I'm thinking about is like anywhere from like 7 to 14 days, give or take. So it just all depends if we can get it all together or not. And this will probably be depending on where I'm living at the time, obviously. I'm thinking it's either going to be a June or July trip. Maybe August at the latest would be my thinking. But I would like to try, sometime either June or July is what it is then. So just because it'd be cool to go there and check these places out. Maybe check out some other cemeteries and stuff while we're in the area or something. See if we can pick up some like ghost activity out there in the cemeteries or something then. So one thing I will say to anybody that's out there that wants to join me on that thing, when it comes to the Land Between the Lakes trip part of this, we are definitely going heavily armed. And that's all I'm going to say about that one. Because especially if we're going to be out there at night, like, I'm not going to be out there at night with a handgun versus a bunch of cryptic creatures. I'm going to be out there with a fucking AR-15 or something higher versus a bunch of cryptic creatures. I'm not saying we're going to hunt these things because we're not. I'm just saying, hey, if something goes down and we got, some shots need to be taken, like, it ain't going to be from a fucking handgun. It's going to be from something way more powerful. So, anyway. But, yeah, so my thinking is like everybody's going to be armed with at least a rifle, and then pretty much full kit at that point. Honestly, would be my deal. So it'd be like rifle, chest rig, handgun, etc., extra mags for everything, and it would just basically be us documenting stuff. So just to be clear, our base of operations is going to be vehicles in that one. Like, it wouldn't just be us like sleeping in like a tent or something outside. Like, no, we're going to be inside of a fucking vehicle like, documenting stuff, because if some shit goes down, like, we're going to zip the fuck out of there as fast as possible. So it's going to happen there is what it is. So, but anyway, on that note though, that's where I'm at for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I will be back. I don't know exactly when yet. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. It just all depends. My cousin said he might be over today, but I don't think he's going to be now. What it is, I'm going to text him in a couple minutes to see if it's still possibly going to come over tonight. I mentioned something to him about if he got my lottery tickets for me then. So I'd like to get those before too much longer, just because I want to do the. I'm going to do another lottery scratch off thing. For those that don't know, I have enough right now that I was able to get $100 worth of shit again. And instead of doing the $1 scratchers, I'm going to go with those $5 scratchers. So there's going to be like 20 of those, is what it'll be, and I'll have. I think I have like 102 on the winning stuff. So I'll take the other two and I'll put it into like a National Lampoon's ticket or something. That's what it'll be then. So it'll be like a single National Lampoon's ticket and then like 20 of the $5 scratchers, and hopefully I win something. It'd be cool to win one of those big prizes, but then again, it would also be me having to then turn around and, end up losing my disability because of that, because then I have a bunch of money that I would have from the thing, which it'd be one thing if it was like, $100,000 or $500,000, whatever it is there, but at the same time, like, when you got the lottery scumbags taking out at least like half or 2/3 of that, then you're going to walk away with maybe like 30 or 40 from 100K, and then it'll be like maybe 200 from like a 500K win or something. So I actually heard one the other day where it was a woman had won, I forget which lottery it was here. I want to say it was one of the $1 billion jackpots recently. And when all the taxation was taken out of it, she only had like $213 million or something. That's what it was, out of like $1 billion+ win, which is so completely unconstitutional, dude. And just like, is it not constitutional? Yeah, taxation is basically fraud at that point, or theft at that point. Well, it's both actually. But yeah, it's definitely theft of, people's wealth is what it would be then. So anyway, it's just a bunch of shit all the way around, dude, that they can take out that much in taxation from a freaking lottery win when that person should be at least, close to a billionaire, if not a billionaire. So anyway, but yeah, on that note, it's getting pretty dark out right now. I think we're already in sunset currently. It's just a matter of time before it gets completely dark outside right now. So, which I guess I could technically turn on my light here, get a little bit of light here. But I don't know if you guys can hear that like grinding sound in the background. That's my my heater over there, thermostat trying to go up to 70. So that's also something I'm not going to miss when I leave here, is shit like that. Because I've been able to sleep in an actual bedroom, even in my chair is what it is then. So, or if nothing else, have like a decent thermostat that's actually, more modern is what it would be, or I can just like hit the thing and have it knocked up a little bit or something like that's what it is there. So, but anyway, that being said, I'll definitely be back Friday for Freedom Friday. I'll be back Saturday for Slicey Boy Saturday episode. We'll talk about some of the knives we talked about yesterday. Again, remember, we'll just do a what's in the bag kind of knives, because I got several bags around here that just have random knives in them still. So we might just do one of those kind of things where I just pull out a bag. So maybe that's what I'll do for the next couple episodes or something like that. Just be like, what's in the bag? And then I just pull out a bag of knives. That's what it'll be. See what kind of knives I got sitting in it. There's what it is. Then I can go through them and categorize and show you what it is there. I know several of these bags around here still have like a bunch of fixed blades in them. So, and then their stuff just has like random things. It's a couple smaller flashlights or boxes or whatever. And then some just have boxes for knives and them is what it is there. So anyway, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been real. It's been enlightening for today. If I realized when the landlord texted me, I would have just not even acted like or I would have just texted him back, be like, yep, I know it's working, thanks. Instead of just being like, okay to the whole thing or whatever then. Which really, my okay really wasn't to that. It was to the first part of him being like, toilet's functioning again, or whatever the case being. I was like, okay. So it wasn't too, okay, I'm going to take care of myself from now on. So, but it is what it is, man. So I don't know. It does make me wonder though how many people in this complex have had similar situations to me now and are dealing with this crap themselves now and have had to buy like snakes and shit because this guy's such an asshole. What it is. So I know Clint, Caddy Corner there, told me when Don was still living here that the landlord was being a dick one day because he was supposed to be helping him do something in the apartment or the case be, and then he just never, like, he basically blew him off for like long enough to where he's basically just like, yeah, fuck this guy. So I don't know. It's pretty pathetic when you're supposed to be your own handyman in a place where you shouldn't have to be. Nope, that was just something else right now. I thought that was my cousin texting me, but it was some kind of random memory thing that popped up. So I need to charge my phone again too. So anyway, but yeah, it's a bunch of shit all the way around is what it is. But on that note, though, I definitely got stuff I gotta do. I'm gonna put some food in the air fryer and then do some gaming stuff before the reset happens here in the next hour or so. So, but yeah, like I said, it's been a crazy day, and yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. I knew this place was only like going to be like a year, but at the same time, like, it just sucks. So I don't know if that's okay. I think that might have been Mickey coming in from wherever he was out with some people then. So, but yeah, no. I swear to God, though, like, I don't know if I mentioned this whole time in the last hour and a half or so. But yeah, like the guy that came through with the snowblower the other day, so that would have been like Tuesday, and then it was Wednesday of this week. I was sitting in the chair here trying to fall asleep. What it was, and it was about 11:47, I think that's what it was, or so, maybe 11:48, someplace in there. And I swear to God, I heard that door from B open and shut. So I don't know if somebody was squatting in there and then just left, or what it was. But it did seem very weird. And the reason I say that specifically is because I know with the way this complex is set up, depending on which side you're on, if your adjacent neighbor opens their door and then shuts it and does so in like a pretty, swift manner, or whatever the case be, it reverberates through your wall. And it reverberated through this front wall with the windows, as what it is here by the door. So it definitely, Jesus Christ, that was grinding like crazy. I'm trying to temper it now. But yeah, it was what was I gonna say then? Yeah, it was to a point then where it definitely sounded like somebody was walking out of this door over here that was supposed to be a vacant unit currently. And I told the landlord about that too. And mind you, this was the next morning that I had texted him about that. And his literal response to me was, well, my helper's over there right now. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't explain why I heard something like 12 hours ago in the middle of the fucking night, dude. So I don't know if somebody is just like was given the key to that place, or if there's some kid around here that's being, abused by their parent or something like that, and just decided to break in there and sleep in there for a night or two is what it was, or something, or what's going on there, or if it's even, the piece of shit that used to live there figuring out that he can come back through here every so often and just like break in and sleep in there is what it is. Like, who the fuck knows? But like I said, it's bothersome because that's not the first time that happened. There was one that happened, it was on the 14th of last month, that I contacted the landlord about too, and he never even got back to me at all on that one. And then, yeah, there was this one from, I think it was the 30th this month that it was. Oh, wait, what was the 30th now? Let's see. No, 30th would have been Friday, so this would have been like the 28th, So it was the 29th when I talked to him, that's what it was. So, but yeah, it's like, it's extremely disturbing, man, because, you know, when you think this place is vacant, then you're hearing like noises that sound like there's somebody leaving it or coming into it, or whatever the case be, and there shouldn't be anybody in there. It's like, what the fuck? You know, like I was seriously like this close to calling the cops right now is what it is. But I don't want them coming to me and being like, yeah, we don't see anybody in there, we can't find anybody in there, whatever the case be. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know, maybe I'm just hearing random noises and stuff. Who knows? Because honestly, it could have truly been like the way that it knocked or whatever. Like I know there was a bunch of snow on the roofs and stuff like that never got taken care of. So it could have easily been just like a bit of melting snow or something like that that just like fell in such a way where it just sounded like something was happening there. But who knows? Like, I hope that's what it was. I hope it's not just some random person, like, you know, squatting on the cane or something like that. Because that would be weird and creepy. But yeah, it's just very irritating. But I definitely want to be living someplace else very soon where I don't hear, you know, random noise coming from over yonder either. So it'd be nice to have actual insulation on walls where you don't hear people like opening cabinets and stuff at all hours. Or hearing you, or you hearing their stuff, or them hearing your air fryer beeps or something like that, where you think you gotta grab your air fryer off before it beeps off then. So, but anyway, it is what it is. Like I said, Mickey and Clint are good dudes, but yeah, it would just be nice to be someplace where I don't gotta hear like random noises, where it feels like I got, you know, a roommate and not a neighbor. So, which, I don't know. It is what it is. So, anyway, that being said, is where I'm at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Always be carrying, all that good stuff. And, yeah, now is the time to boot Islam out of our country. Now is the time to boot all the Haitians and the rest of the third world trash out of the nation and fix things the way they need to be fixed is what it is. So I will talk to you guys in the next one, which, like I said, might be tomorrow, might be the next day, might be several days from now. I'm just not sure. I don't know if Honda's doing a chat tonight or not. I might be on that in a couple hours then. And by a couple hours, I mean like probably like 10:30 if he's going to do one probably. If he doesn't pull out anything by then, I will probably be asleep not long after that's what it'll be. Hopefully, as long as a dude from the kitchen wall is not being a dick or anything like that. So, but yeah, it is what it is, man. So I will talk to you guys whenever then. Have a good one. Peace out. And if nothing else, I will not see you guys until Friday for Freedom Friday, if I decide not to do anything this week. So, but either way, we'll do Freedom Friday for sure. So next time you will see me for sure is on the 6th of this month. Otherwise, it'll be, I might just do another Grandstand or something in the next couple days or something. That's what it is. So either way, that's where we're at right now. Like I said, I'm gonna go check on some rental stuff right now and make something to eat. That's what it is, and go from there. So I will talk to you guys whenever. Later.